Yeah. Bonjour.
Hello?
Hello, hello.
Hello? 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 I can't hear anything.
Testing. It's going into Skype input. Testing. Hello. Let me just see here.
Oh, man.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Not that. Okay. Change back. If there is anybody viewing, just having some Skype issues. Twitch.tv, Goodstuff.fm. All right, it's working. Stream's working. All right, let's try this again.
Hello?
Hello, hello.
Hey, that's working.
There you go.
I guess I had to force it to use a certain device. So,
Yay, Skype.
yeah, Skype, man, just keeping its relevancy here in the year 2017. Man, that's what a world. Let me stop some things, pause some things. Sorry, I'm a little late. Trying to get asked a really dumb question on Twitter, and it's taking off, and I don't like it.
Shoot. Oh, the CSS one?
Yeah, just like so I have like a component, and it's a thing by itself, right? But then the client wants to like squeeze it inside of this other thing. Like it's a whole page, but then the client's like, what if it's like an accordion and that page lives inside, 10 accordions? And it's like, all right. And then you're just like, all your like content wrappers and all that stuff just start kind of like whittling away, like all that smart CSS you wrote. So I'm just like, now do I put the overrides in the parent, or do I put the overrides in the child? Like in this thing, like who owns the overrides, I guess is the question. Does does the parent or the child, right. Which I guess is a story about parenting.
Exactly. Especially when the child pukes at 3 a.m. Then you're like, now what do I do? Yeah.
Who cleans that up?
Yeah.
And then is that my puke now, or is that child's puke? I don't know whose puke that is.
That sounds like something for the Shop Talk show. I'd send it into those guys.
Yeah,
they know what they're doing.
I could add. I hear they base things on facts, on
fake CSS.
Um, well, cool. Do you need me to record audio here, or
Maybe
are
just
you
as a
gonna?
backup, I guess. But if
Okay,
it's gonna cause a lot of issues,
kind of like a no. I should be good. So let me know when you want to 3, 2, 1 it.
you can. Oh, I have the so. Here, I should send you the link. Except
Okay.
you'll want to close it soon after, I guess. The Twitch/Goodstuff.f_FM. Instead of your face, I just have my folder of animated GIFs looping.
Loopy. Oh, hey,
So
we are streaming.
that's you.
Uh, Hold on, let me get you a GIF. Are you? Oh, I see it. Here, let me send you some GIFs. Hold on.
Okay, I can
Hold
use
on.
some
Hold
for
on.
yeah.
Hold on. Oh boy, this is gonna be good.
Artisanally
This will be.
crafted GIFs.
Um. Yeah. Here's. Get some.
Oh, actually, you. Okay, well there you go. I accept. Okay, now I need to make a folder. This is some live OBSing.
Yeah. How's
Learning
the OB? I want to hear about OBS, but it's very exciting. I
Dave GIFs. We'll just call this folder.
And then I probably have some more.
So Skype save these. Oh, it's sending them as a JPEG, or is it just that one?
I don't know.
Oh, that
Some of
first
them
one.
might.
Yeah, the first one came
Some
easy.
might be JPEGs in my GIFs folder. That's how organized I am. Oh, that one is an animated PNG, but it's not animating. Ugh, the world is over.
Let's see if I use PNG instead. Does it? No. Come on, portable network graphics. That's not very. Yeah. So Dave has had. There was a Tasula asked. She was watching from somewhere. I don't think she's in the chat room, but Dave's computer is without video camera, and so we're substituting GIFs instead.
Awful GIFs. It's great.
Oh, no. Okay, let's change to bye those GIFs, and let's do a new image slideshow. Dave slideshow, we'll call it, because I'm sure I'll be reusing this.
Yeah. Here, I'm going to just start. Here you go.
This is the important work of podcasting, just in case anybody's wondering. This is how you get to be successful, or not. Are you out in your executive studio office?
I am in the backyard addition,
Right.
which is kind of awesome. I enjoy my backyard office, but I will tell you, Chris, the bane of my existence is getting Wi-Fi out to this shed, and I'm going to go pour. I talked to a guy about running like Ethernet cable, and he was like, we don't do jobs this small. And I was like, oh, that means I have to do it myself. Or he's like, we could do it, but you'd have to like dig the trench out to it yourself. And I'm just like, that's not what because I have a bunch of landscaping where they wanted to dig the trench. I just was like, this is the worst. And so I don't know. I might just drill a hole in my attic, run a cable, throw it under my deck, and sneak it out to my shed, just so I can have really stable internet. It's all fine, and because internet is, it works right until you have like a client call, and then it just doesn't work, and then it stops working. Which is cool of internet to do that, of Wi-Fi, but I might need a wire for the internet. So
all right, so folks, are, if there is anybody watching or seeing a slideshow of Dave's life, basically, I think is what we're seeing. There he is, hiding behind the bushes.
It's me in my natural habitat.
Talking about bots. this is your life basically of Dave Rupert.
This is sort of, yeah, if it's flashing before my eyes here.
And then that's him doing web development on his Surface. Is that?
Yeah. Well, that's an old Surface, so that was like pre-Surface, kind of like it's a Samsung Slate. That's what it's called.
Oh, nice. Okay. Let me just see. I've got the things recording. So if actually we don't even need to do a 3, 2, 1 because I'll just if it is that bad that I need to use yours, then I'll have other issues. But
Okay. Yeah. I
so you
guess
just hit record and I'll line it up someday if I need to. I was
Okay.
gonna check. Go ahead. Yeah.
Recording.
Tasula, if you're still watching or whoever. Yeah, there we go. We can switch to a browser view. Sweet. Yeah, OBS is a little like janky for being. It's amazing for being free. First of all, for what it's doing
Mm-hmm.
compared to like what is it? I don't know, $600 for Wirecast or whatever is the paid thing that you'd buy. But it still feels a little bit. It probably is better on Windows actually because I think it started as a Windows app and then has been sort of demanded to be ported over to Mac. So, but yeah, it works. It works very good for what it does. Anyway, I'll say that much, I guess. I just don't use it enough to get comfortable on it. So, all right, I'm going to start do a little intro music thingy, and then we'll get going and have a podcast, a pod.
Sounds good.
Sorts. You can hear that, all right?
Oh yeah.
All right, hello and welcome to Dailyish for Tuesday, February 7th. It's currently a minus 21 Celsius, which feels like minus 30 Celsius with the wind chill. I don't know what that is in Fs, but it's a effing a lot, I think. Minus 22 Fs, if you're in the F world. This episode of Dailyish is brought to you by FeedPress. Visit feed.press/Dailyish today to try out FeedPress for your podcast or blog RSS feed analytics needs. And you can use promo code Dailyish during checkout to get 10% off your first year of service. And also by Patreon supporters, possibly like you, patreon.com/iChris is where you can check out how you can support the podcasting efforts we do here at Good Stuff a little more directly with $1 or $2 or $50 or whatever a month. I'm attempting to stream live to our Twitch page just for fun because I like to make things complicated. And unbeknownst to me, my guest for this episode is without video. So instead, the lucky viewers on our Twitch page, which will also eventually somehow make its way to our YouTube channel or something, get some animated GIFs of Dave or a facsimile of Dave, my guest. So Dave Rupert, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Dave Rupert here, Austin, Texas. 29 C's down here. I had to do a app to convert it, but 29 C's.
So like that almost a 60-degree swing.
Yeah, opposite. It's like we're the opposite weather.
Wow.
It's 85 degrees in Austin, Texas. Oh my goodness.
Which we're complete opposite computers too, I guess. That's why you're on this podcast.
Yes, I mean
justification.
Not not without its trials and tribulations, but yes, we are together. Finally, Skypes and microphones are working. It's good to be here. Thanks, Chris.
You were actually, I need to thank you publicly. I think I have already actually on Twitter, but you were my first guest on my other podcast, Show Me Your Mic, where we talked about podcasting, and which has since been dormant for a little while. But thank you for being a guest there, and thank you for being my. I'm sort of doing this thing where I'm bringing on air quotes consultants or correspondents in different areas. So you're my Windows, formerly Mac user correspondent, I guess. If this was a TV news show,
that's great. Yeah,
your title, your little bumper thing.
I add that in post.
Yeah, exactly. And you may also hear a 4-year-old screaming because my daughter is sick and stuffy-nosed and very whiny. So that's also.
Oh, I got maybe one of those heading into my office mid-interview here.
Sweet, so. Awesome. It's a good thing. So what I was wanting to talk to you about is because you've been over the last year and a bit been making the switch from Mac to Windows. Is that a new thing? Like, were you ever a Windows person before, or is this like a lifetime?
I mean, so Back in the day when I was 15 or so, I got my first computer, a gateway pin, no, 75 megahertz gateway computer. And it maybe had 500, oh gosh, I'm going to say it wrong. It was like 500 megs of RAM or memory or something like that. And then went through like a year of college and I was 19 or so and I splurged and got a like 133 hertz Pentium gateway computer as
Oh
well.
yeah.
And that had like 756 megabytes or something weird. And then that was sort of my computing for a long time. Learned a lot about computers and websites using PCs. But in about 2002, I bought my first Mac laptop, the MacBook Pro, and it was the aluminum one with the kind of white binding. I'm
Yeah,
sure everyone's remembering this now.
I
A
remember that one.
very square computer that served me for quite a few years. I basically like worked this job and I think I bought it on a credit card or like a loan from like my insurance company or something, and I just paid it back like last year.
Nice.
But it's like a very low interest loan, thank goodness. But
Long-term,
uh,
low interest. That's the key.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I finally bought that last year, but that computer went with me to foreign lands, took it to Japan, used it religiously. It was just such a great computer. This was, I think, OS 10.2. So 10.1 was just a little rough, right? On OS 10, and so 10.2 it started getting better. Tiger then came out 10.3, right? I'm making these animals and numbers up, but um,
You're just driving past a
but
zoo right now, right?
yeah. Horse to OSX horse. It was so but then that computer suffered a drop, which is terrible. It just like fell out of the trunk of a car in a case and just like crank and like broke the hinges off. It was bad. It was already like in poor performing shape, but then I got like another one, another MacBook Pro 2000, geez, 6-ish, 7-ish, 2006 MacBook Pro, I guess it would have been. And then that I used that for a really long time, but that was the version where the batteries would kind of explode. And I'm not sure if that was like because I was I bought it in Japan and then I came to America and used like different power, and so maybe it was like swelling the batteries, but it was that version. And then a couple more MacBooks. I think the last one I bought was in 2013. The kind of, oh, dare I say, the last good MacBook Pro. I did try it out in a MacBook Air, but I really that the Wi-Fi on it was really bad. But I used the Macs until 2015, where 2015 or
No,
2016.
26.
2015, summer of
Yeah,
2015.
right.
And then so kind of with the Shop Talk show, which you help out doing all the production stuff for it. Thank you, Chris. But
You're welcome.
the Shop Talk show, we kind of did a stat analysis and noticed that like 50% of our listeners were PC users, so kind of worldwide. And this was sort of a shock to me because every web developer I know uses a Mac. And our answers when somebody's like, oh, should I get Sketch or something like that for my website, I think our like general response was like, buy a Mac, and that's okay. But somebody who lives in, I don't know, India or Indonesia or something like that, that could be a month or two salary, like quite a bit of money to buy like this big aluminum computer. So it sort of like was like, oh, this is maybe a bad answer for me. So I kind of like talked to some people at Microsoft, Ray Bango, and we kind of hatched a plan where I would try to switch to Windows for a year, send out a Surface Pro, not the Surface Book, but the Surface Pro, kind of with the flip cover, Surface Pro 3. And I used that for like a full year. And I stuck with Windows. I decided to stick with Windows. And since that kind of turn, I think it was in November, December, I built a PC, like built my first PC. Like this is my first PC build, but like first like PC, big desktop PC since 2002
Right.
or something like that. Yeah.
Right. So that was like a quick tour of every single computer you've ever owned. The
Sorry. Gosh, sorry.
we're
You should
out
have
of
given
time
me
now, actually. So
parameters. Yeah. Okay.
next
Well,
time,
thanks for having me on.
I should know better. Inviting a podcaster on who knows how to talk.
Oh,
That's my fault. That's
yeah.
my bad. But I like on DaveRupert.com, the blog, which I'm a longtime reader of. The back in April. Sorry, I can't read my numbers. It's hashtag Dave goes Windows ? And then the next post that I found, anyways, was August. Is Dave is going Windows, and you did it right around launch of Windows 10, I think. That's when you the Surface thing happened and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I was kind of on like a beta of Windows 10, like the insider preview, which was good to go, but it's they're not going to migrate, and enterprise people over to it. They were just kind of letting people use it, which is kind of a cool feature of Windows. I know there are Mac betas and iOS betas, but this was like kind of a year-long, like, hey, get on the Windows Insider track and we'll give you updates. And you can kind of watch us develop it. And they're still doing it. And it's good. There's good builds and bad builds, which could kind of surprise you. But yeah, it was kind of like pre-Windows 10. I was on Windows 10. And Windows 10 is pretty good. I don't know if you've used it, but
I've used it a little. I have an office that I do some support for. Hi, Dad. And due to being in the financial industry, I have to install Windows via Parallels a couple times for some of the folks there. And yeah, actually, it's surprisingly good and not like, Mac users tend to have the like snobby stick their nose up at it kind of view of Windows, but actually haven't used it in years. And so I think definitely it's worth a look if you're not, especially if you're stuck in Windows 98 as the last time maybe you used Windows. It has changed a bit.
Yeah, I'll go on YouTube's and I'll watch, YouTube things, gamer things or whatever, and I'll see somebody on Windows 7 and I'm just like, no. Like it's gotten so much better since then. And I just don't understand why you'd put yourself through that to be on Windows 7 unless you had to be.
Yeah. So skipping aside some of the, like, there's obviously a whole discussion about developing and being a web nerd on Windows versus Mac, and that was kind of the original motivation for you doing this switch. But just more on the personal side, and that's kind of where the angle I'm curious about, because folks can go, like you said, go listen to shoptalkshow.com and hear a bunch of the sort of dev talk, I guess, around that, and I'll have links to a couple episodes in the show notes. But just on the personal side, what kind of piqued my interest in this is watching along and obviously listening along on the Shop Talk Show, but watching along on Twitter and stuff, and then reading some of the blog posts as you're ordering parts. And all of a sudden it like rekindled this like thing from me back in the day when I used to do that same thing. I used to work at a computer store for a while and helping people, like saying, no, you don't want to buy the HP thing. You want to build your own and we'll help you do it. And then you can upgrade it and all that kind of stuff. And then switching to Mac for a while, shortly thereafter when it came out, kind of around the same time as you, and because it was simple and it was kind of nice to be able to just do the thing rather than fiddling with the computer the whole time. But as you started putting the pieces together, did it kind of rekindle, or did you said you never really built your own PC back in the day? Even it was like you pre-built, or did you do a bit of upgrading back in the day?
Yeah, I did a bit of upgrading, but back then the sophistication was like you put a sound card in it, or
Right.
you put a new RAM in it, and they only came in like green silicon wafers,
Yeah.
I mean, when you're talking about building a PC now, it's like, oh, you're going to put RAM in it? What do you want? DDR3, DDR4, DDR5000, DDR4 3200, DDR4 2600, DDR4 2133? What are you doing, man? What's your MOBO? Tell me about your MOBO. Your MOBO, what's it support? Has it got M2 on it? Has it got SATA? Okay.
MOBO is short for motherboard, I hope.
Yeah,
Okay,
motherboard.
gotcha.
And then what kind of cool are you doing? AIO? Are you doing air cooled? What are you doing? And so it's just there's so much stuff to learn, and I kind of it's almost like you need a mentor or a guide to get through it because
Yeah.
you have to watch a bunch of YouTubes, and even then you'll mess it up. That's what I learned today as I was suffering blue screens of death, and I think I've messed it up. But yeah, there's so much stuff that goes on. It's kind of, for those who like haven't like aren't interested in computers, I guess. Like you have the motherboard. That's what like all the circuits and stuff that you kind of imagine like the inside of a computer being. And then you have these like sticks, these RAM sticks, and that's what stores like your memory, like how many apps you can have running at once. I have 32 gigs of RAM in my system right now. And it's pretty fire hot. I actually unplugged one because I was debugging a thing, and it was like this is still very very fast. But 32, and then you have a CPU. You choose what CPU you put inside the motherboard, and then you have to cool the CPU. And I went with like a radiator, like you might have on your car with fans, and then it water cools. It sends like there's two tubes that go to my CPU, an in and an out tube, and that water cools my CPU.
Yeah, for
And
anybody's watching, there's a little video, a looping video on your blog that again I'll link to,
oh
but
yeah,
that the live viewers can see you sort of touring or whatever,
yeah,
powering it on for
kind
the
of
first time. I think is what you.
powering on. And yeah, and then there's a graphics card inside of there, and that's maybe my favorite piece. But that's the juice. That's like what lets you do sweet games is graphics cards, which that I kind of did the research in it. Like it was barely a thing. There's a thing called a Voodoo 3 or something
Yeah, I
back in the
remember that.
day, but it was just but it was prohibitively expensive. I mean, it was like the cost of another computer. But it would like do all your graphics only in some games. But now most games leverage the GPU to render really quickly. So it's kind of amazing what like you can do. And then I have it sitting in a big glass case, like a case with like a glass panel on the side. And then just because I'm a total dork, I like bought LEDs and now it lights up. So like Christmas lights. So I went full dork. So
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's what's kind of like both terrifying to me at the idea of it, because as I was reading and following along, it kind of, like I said, it kind of rekindled some of that old stuff that I used to do. And I was on the one hand, kind of like, I want to dive back in right away. And then, like I was saying in the previous episode of this podcast, that like I have kids now who are getting to the age where they're using computers, but they don't have any idea what goes on inside. And I feel like this would be such an awesome project. And this is also how I could maybe justify it to my wife that we should start building a computer again. And then the gaming angle too is like a whole nother realm of like fun and excitement. Cause on the Mac, it's getting better, but it's not as well. Overwatch is the thing. It's not on Mac. And so
yeah,
that's the fun
well,
one. But so that's I guess
that's
when you're like, and now like something like PCPartPicker.com, I think is the site, right? PC Part Picker,
mhm.
yeah. Where it's like for nerds build it. Like I remember back in the day, like stupid spreadsheets of like, okay, if I put this video card in, it's going to cost this much and all that kind of stuff, and trying to figure that all out myself. And now like you can share parts lists of your PC, and like someone, if they wanted to, maybe now it's probably a little bit out of date, I guess, but could order exactly what you had or ordered roughly. And even like on their, I just have to geek out a bit on just the way that they did this programmatically on the site, where they have their pre-built site systems, but they'll like dynamically get you the best price on RAM depending on what, and who has the best price at the time and what kind of RAM or hard drive, like if Seagate has the better hard drive price versus whatever other brands are there. But did you like you kind of said, you sort of almost need a mentor now going back into this, where it's like, I know Core Intel has an i7 chip and I know they have an i5 chip, but like, I don't know which one is which and where. Cause again, I've been sort of dumbed down in the Mac world for so long, which isn't a knock against Mac users, but cause I am one, but I used to know all that stuff. And now it feels like it's like there's like 10 extra levels of language depth to each part that wasn't there before.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it was, in mid 2000s where Apple kind of gave up on the specs game. They kind of
Yeah.
and they sort of, they pitched it to you. They're like, "Don't worry, baby. It's faster, baby. Don't just shh, 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 shh,
It's gonna be
shh.
okay.
It's fine, baby." And you're like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, it's matter. It's just about, is it a good experience?" And to some degree, they're right. Like they like had was it Snow Leopard? After Leopard was a whole release that was just performance oriented, like just
Yeah.
purely performance improvements. And I mean, that went miles, for like squeezing the most you can out of what turns out to be lower end hardware.
Yeah.
Um, and then they keep costs down. But it just the outside, the glass, the aluminum, that's all very high end. But the internals is actually kind of low end hardware. So it doesn't do things like Overwatch and kind of these modern games and stuff like that. So you kind of had to like get back up to speed. And so I leaned heavily on, my friends Jan Wang and Zach Meyer. I just was like grilled them for months, man. I can't make a decision very quickly. But I grilled them for months about like what I should do. And I actually took from a YouTube show called Linus Tech Tips. They had this like, let's build a gaming PC in under, for under $1,500 or something,
Yeah.
for like the cost of a MacBook Air or something like that. And they built out and so I forked that list on PC Part Picker and kind of started building out my machine. And I kind of made some upgrades here and there, but for about $1,600, $1,700 probably, with some upgrades post that, or 1,800, I was able to build like one of the fastest machines I could possibly think of. Like it's a beast, and it's going to work for a really long time. And if I just chuck like $400 a year at it, I can keep at the like cutting edge of performance for kind of indefinitely. So once I did the math on that, and I'm not a super budget conscious guy, but that was like, oh wow, this thing is like a 10-year thing. I'll have this for 10 years. I'll use this computer or in whatever Franken parts I add to it for about 10 years, which is really, really cool. I'm really kind of excited about that because I haven't had that. It's almost, I hate to admit my my own consumerism, but it's been like it's been like 2-year disposable laptop basically for the last 10 years. So
Yeah, which that's what when I saw your sort of build, and I knew like as a Mac user, it's not like I was like came into the Windows side and was like, what? They've had this for this much, like $1,200 gets you the same spec. Like I knew all that kind of stuff, and it's not like I still think the Mac ecosystem and the computers are great and all that kind of stuff, but especially on the laptop side, it has felt, and we won't go too far down the like paranoid about Apple laptops discussion, but like it has felt a bit like, okay, you're kind of lagging around and I don't really need touch bars. I just want it like a really super awesome computer. But when like reading that as far as how much it would cost you to build, and I like just a year ago, I picked up a 27-inch iMac. That's what I'm recording this on and talking to you through, and fairly loaded up.
Which is a good machine. That's a good machine.
Yeah, but it is like when I think it was like, because I loaded up with 16 gigs of RAM and a slightly better video card because I wanted to do video streaming and and video editing stuff and podcast editing, and wanted to be able to, if I screw up a export of a long shop talk show with 8 people on it or whatever and all the audio files, I wanted to go fast. So I was like, done. And so it was like $3,500 I think or something Canadian anyways. And but then seeing 6 months later the what, like just like what you said, like what you built, $1,500 to $2,000. Like there's a lot of stuff you can buy for $1,500, Dave. I don't know if you know that, but
well, especially Canadian.
Yeah. And so, not that, again, it's like I love the Mac system, and I like software wise, especially. It still would take a lot for me to like leap back into Windows, because even watching along, and there are stuff I know that you're like sort of like frustrated by, not just developer stuff or whatever, where the apps just kind of aren't there in the same caliber. But yeah, $1,500 does go a long way towards surviving with a different Twitter client or whatever. I guess they might.
For sure. And that's, I think it's just I think it's just, there are pros and cons. Like your Mac, you're probably not going to have kernel panics and
Yeah.
heavy support problems. And if you do, your like immediate community can probably help you solve them, because there's kind of a strong, web tech community around Macs. If you're having some problem with something, usually there's some command line switch you can flip to get it to do the thing you want.
Yeah.
However, with Windows, man, I've had problems with this machine, and I'm trying to be very transparent about it. But it's just daily blue screens of death. Daily, like I play Overwatch with some friends, Jan and Zach, who I mentioned, and this guy Juan, and we play, and playing, and then all of a sudden, my computer freezes up, drops, goes to a blue screen of death, and it's like I'm out of the match, and it's a bummer because I have spent money on this, but more kind of like it's more like I spent time. It's like I built a motorcycle or restored a motorcycle, and it's still kind of broken, and you're just
Right.
like, why is it still broken? Because I put the monies into it to fix it, or the time, and I don't understand why it's broken. And then there's no Geek Squad, there's no, maybe I could do a Geek Squad, but there's no like Geek Squad, or there's no Apple Genius bar that I can take this thing to be like, hey, fix this. I'm crying. I don't
Yeah.
know what's wrong. I need it fixed. I can't be on client calls, and I can't play video games, which is the worst part. So could I please just get this fixed? And there's no one there for that. So you have to like kind of suss out this information, or like, kind of just trial and error, which is the worst way to fix something, or the most painful way to fix something.
Right. Which is why I remember that's why I was like, oh, the Macs are kind of nice because you don't have to worry about it's like the memory is stuff that's tested for a Mac, and so it only just works with a Mac. And then that was kind of like my motivation, along with some of the video editing software at the time and all that kind of stuff, that sucked me into the Mac ecosystem, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm getting like the cold sweats of like having to like turn on the machine, waiting for it to boot up, and then realizing, oh, memory's in backwards or whatever. And yeah.
Oh, I mean, for Mac, there's one brand of RAM, like it's crucial, and it's been that way since forever, and then there's one brand of like hard drive, and it's probably a Samsung or something, but there's,
Ironically,
it's yeah, well, it's just been that way forever, and then they have locked down their own processors now. They're using like the A chips and the M chips and stuff, and so they don't even use like Intel anymore. Some do, but like it's just getting kind of more simple and streamlined and integrated into, if your computer falls apart, you don't replace like a CPU. You have to replace the whole board, and that contains everything, your dedicated graphics and all that. So
yeah.
That's so it's not without its like ups and downs, and I've been complaining on Twitter, and people are just like, oh man, you just need to try harder. But then some people are like, that's exactly why I left Windows after like 10-20 years. It just I couldn't deal with it anymore, and I'm feeling that, because it's like some days I'm just like, I'm going to Linux. This is a Linux machine now, or something, or I'm just going to buy a Chromebook. That's where I like, when you're angry and upset, that's where you want to go. I could go back to Mac too, but it's just, what's weird is now I'm so kind of on the other side now. I'm not sure there's much in there that offers me much benefit,
Right.
Because it was very much going to the place where I just needed the Linux shell, or the Unix shell on Mac, and so I don't know. Here I am. So.
And so, like, one of the things you mentioned in your post, sort of the finale of your post, anyways, and that was now almost, well, not quite a year ago, I guess 6 months ago or whatever, but was, on detangling yourself from the Apple services, your music and stuff like that. And I don't know how much, we don't need to go into huge detail about all that, but like, that is one of the things I know now is like, I have movies I bought in iTunes. And so I guess there's iTunes for Windows still, I think, right?
Yeah, there's iTunes for Windows.
Yeah.
There's also like a Windows Store thing, and that, it's weird. I'm all over the place, and I don't think I'm happy either way. Like there's there's Windows Store stuff, which is nice because it goes to my Xbox. So
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird, but it's kind of cool because I can, at work, I've like done this like 0 times, but at work I could like uh, cash in my Bing credits because you get Bing credits if you use Bing and Edge, cash in my Bing credits, rent a movie on the Windows Store. It'll shoot over to my Xbox, like, and it's available on my Xbox immediately. So, or maybe not immediately, but like I could like do all the purchasing for like a kids movie I'm gonna rent like here before I even go into the house from my shed. And like I have it like that end of the ecosystem is cool, but you could also do that on your phone with
Yeah.
an Apple TV if that's your setup, with iOS and Apple TV OS, whatever they calling it,
Yeah.
TV OS. And
Like the Xbox is a great sort of gateway drug, which that's what we picked up over Christmas here with the kids was the Xbox One, and that is kind of like that's also sort of this you doing the goes Windows thing plus getting the Xbox One and like just getting exposed to how Microsoft has done. What do they call it? Their family settings or whatever, right? Where I can go on. I think my kids are a little bit older than yours, but like our oldest is 9, and so I can go. I set them up with an Xbox Live account, and it's kind of this painful thing. You sort of jump through hoops and setting up an email or whatever and stuff. But then once it's set up, I can like programmatically or whatever on the settings say he's only allowed to use the Xbox between these hours or this many hours per week or whatever, and then it'll just like prompt them. I tested it out one time. It just pops up a little thing and saying Xbox time limit is up or whatever and shuts it down. And so, which is kind of like, I mean, there's parenting methods aside, there's kind of like a lot of fun in that because we can sort of blame the Xbox for running out of time. Um, but also
I mean, are you kidding me? As a parent, that's solid gold. It's like,
yeah,
oh, you like of a 9-year-old too. You're just like, oh, you'd like some more time on the old Xbox? Well, you could cash in some chore credits and get that, or
exactly.
go clean your room, and you can Minecraft till your eyes bleed. But it's like, what a cool system.
Compared with how, like at the exact same time, we're also setting up this old MacBook Pro laptop with like the parental controls on the Mac, not old, like it's running current OS, but older hardware. But and the parental controls don't save. Like it repeatedly will not save the parental control. So it's like for my wife and I, we're like, here's the Microsoft side that just seems to work, which is Apple's old thing of like it just works. And on the Apple side, we're like, cannot get this thing to like so that he's not watching porn on YouTube or whatever.
I mean,
it's just like
you gotta be careful. Yeah, be careful. My kid, no, my son's 3. He watches like how to make your own lightsaber with duct tape videos on YouTube, and it's fine. It's great, but that autoplay kicks on, and then all like in 4 videos he's watching just God knows what. I mean, just like triple X, like weird YouTube basically, and you're just like, what happened? Like you were watching Star Wars and now you're watching like teens cussing and and you're just like, this isn't what I signed up for. I have to like babysit you, being babysat by YouTube. This is the word. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I think those like how you manage family people, I think that's like a big thing. And I'm actually looking at this setting in Windows. You can give your kids an account and with websites and time limits and stuff like that, which is a cool feature.
It feels like the Microsoft side, they get that families are actually families, whereas on the Apple side, it always feels like families means cool, good-looking folks going out surfing, and their hipster dad or whatever is along for the ride, and like nobody really has kids that mess around with this stuff. And
or like, I mean, it's not bad, but like their incentive is actually, wouldn't it be cooler if you owned 2 iPads? One for each kid. Like they like that a lot more than developing software to, and not, I'm saying it's not easy to roll that out. So I don't want to be too mean, but like the incentives for them align to like just buy another iPad, make all your kids happy, and you know, like, but then how do you lock it down anyway? But
Yeah.
uh,
Okay, I'm trying to think. I think the have you, with going back to your computer finally, and then we'll wrap this up. But
sure.
the in the end, I guess you sort of alluded to the idea of like you're not sure if you're happier or just happy, and so would you do it all again? I guess in that sense, and any advice for somebody like myself or anyone else listening who's like just wanting to toy around with the idea of going back to their roots, as it were, in the Windows world.
Yeah, so I think I'm happier. It's not been without its challenges, but I think I'm finally like narrowing down what the problems are. Like I went through a big BIOS reset, blah blah blah, like big like configuration change today, and so I'm gonna see if that makes a difference. Like the only way to test that is to do copious amounts of gaming, which I'm up for the
Oh,
task, Chris.
yeah.
I will just do my best to play Overwatch until my eyes bleed.
Yeah,
So,
we need to have an Overwatch discussion too.
oh,
Anyways,
we should. I'd be happy to. Uh, the um, and then so if you're getting like I think I'm happy. I think like the OS for me, like it's way more my aesthetic, kind of flat design, which is not cool anymore, but like flat, you know, kind of simple typography led design and architecture, iconography, like really like kind of I don't know, just kind of basic iconography. I think it's like it's the design language I would choose if I were kind of doing things. And that for me, when I go like back to my Mac, I'm like, ooh, this is like not like me actually. It's kind of rainbow, really rounded, really shady, like shading everywhere, gradients, and I'm just like, this is not me. And but like the Windows vibe is like very me. We'll call it flat design because that's kind of what it is. But
yeah.
that design language, I really like. I like what people are starting to kind of do with it. That's what I like about it. I think I'm happier here, even though I'm daily challenged by my computer falling over. So, you know,
Which might
hey,
be like for anybody, like if you, there's, I guess, separating Windows from custom hardware, right?
yeah, let's
Because like if
separate
someone
Windows
bought
from
a
custom hard.
off the
Yeah,
shelf, whatever the current off the shelf thing is that you buy,
yeah, like
probably
if you
less
buy like a
problems.
Surface or Surface Book Pro or even like a Dell, Razer, all these are good machines. They probably have less problems. So like because they would just not be companies anymore if they're having these problems. So it's like once I separate out like, oh, this is actually a problem with my specific machine. Um,
Right.
you know, I think I am happy if I can get this thing fixed. So, um, but if you're building your own, if you want to get into it, you know, you know, not everyone has $1,600 laying around. So but you know, it's not like prohibitive. You know, I think you can, if you're a deal hunter and you're really aggressive, you can like go on that PC part picker and you could probably build a machine for like $800. I think, you know, I have friends that have done that and like they come out with a full computer for $800, you know. Um,
Yeah, well, I think the
so there,
guide, because I was looking at some of the guides on there, just as you do, and yeah, modest gaming build they price at $826. So whatever that means exactly, but an even
yeah,
entry level gaming build is $560. So it's not. It looks to me like stats wise, anyways, it doesn't look amazing, but it obviously can play games. You're not going to be 60 frames per second, on the ultra or whatever settings on the game, but yeah, even like their great gaming build is just over $1,000. So.
right. I think you'd be very close and just again like just save up some bucks and chuck a bit more at that graphics card and I think you'd get
Yeah,
there. So
yeah.
yeah, so there and then if you're thinking about it, find a mentor. Do not go alone, and make sure you kind of like ask questions. I'm happy to try to answer whatever, but again, I will try to help anyone out as much as possible. But I do have a broken computer, so you might
Dave may
want to
not be the
find a
best
better
mentor. Yeah.
guru there. So
All right. Well, thanks, Dave. I really appreciate you coming on and letting me sort of live a little bit nostalgia through you. Where can
are
folks?
you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it?
I'm sitting and looking at I have an old iMac that I need to sell before I do anything else
All
with
right.
computers,
Okay.
and
That's good.
clean up some of the stuff. But I know I'm being responsible. That's annoying. Where can folks, if they want to follow you, they're on Twitter at Davidtron5000.
That's right. DavidTron5000, DaveRupert.com, and ShopTalkShow.com if you build websites.
There you go. And thank you, folks, for listening. This is a little longer episode than usual, but it was a good trip down memory lane for me, so hopefully you enjoyed it. And there'll be a video version, I think, if I hit all the buttons right. We're experimenting with streaming live video over to Twitch, twitch.tv/goodstuff_FM. And then we have a YouTube channel as well, which I'll figure out what it is and put the video there. I'm iChris on Twitter, and thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye. There we go. All right. Sweet. I think the stream... This is the problem with streaming on Twitch. So some random person stopped by. I'm assuming random. Bork66666 came in and said, "Gave up your job for this, huh?" It's like,
nice.
I don't know what that means.
Nice.
I don't have a job actually, so I didn't give anything up for this. This is all I can offer you, Bork. But hopefully it's all enough. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. So
thank you.
I'm curious. I might bug you more about streaming because I've been thinking about that kind of. Yeah, the guys I play Overwatch with, I think, are starting to stream too. So,
yeah. Have you tried it with because the Xbox does streaming?
Yeah, and there's a new game bar thing, which is like built into Windows again. So, and I don't know if it's good or not. Haven't tried it out yet, but like you can use I can do like Windows G and maybe start a broadcast. So, which is kind of wild, but
yeah, like I've streamed right from the Xbox One playing game, right? Like, so a game that you're playing on the Xbox, not on Windows, you can stream right to Twitch from the Xbox. You don't get like the visual of you unless you have the what's it call it, the Connect bar or whatever for the Xbox. Then you can use like the webcam thing. But it's pretty slick. Like a $500 box or whatever it is, $400 box does that. But yeah, I was watching some guy, I forget the guy's name. Anyways, on Twitch last night a bit. 16,000 people watching along while he plays Overwatch with his buddies. It's like, he's not even like it's not like some famous guy that like within his world he's big, but like it's just some dude down in
you wouldn't recognize him at like a Walmart. You would just walk past him and just not even. No, that's how. No, I watch these too. I'm just like, I don't know if you watch. It's Overwatch Sarah or Sarah Overwatch or something, but. She just plays Mercy like in Overwatch, and that's it. That's the whole show, and it's like amazing. Like, okay, I'll watch. Why am I watching this? It's the same game always. No, she's good, but it's just you're just like why? And then you watch people play. Yeah, I just it's fascinating. And then I don't know. The idea of streaming is very interesting to me. So
yeah, well, and I think. Your just knowing your personality on Shop Talk even would be well suited for goofy dude streaming,
Yeah, the thing I think that's a compliment. Handle, thank you. I'll take it. No, the thing I can't do though is the comments. The like live stream comments are just don't work for me. So yeah,
like someone shouting or leaving like Bork666. You mean that kind of stuff, or you commenting on? Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just like I can't deal with these people like hopping in or even just watching a thing. I just can't do it. It's too distracting. So anyway, well, sweet.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, talk to you later. Thank you.
Yeah. See ya.